Hey guys, what it is. So I just came from physical therapy and I'm taking the beast to run. Whatever he wants to do, he can run and zip and zap and whatever dogs do. So I have on my previous EMT shirt. And so I thought I'd talk to you about what EMT school is like. Okay? And just because my experience was like this, that does not mean that your experience will be like this if should you decide to go to school for this, okay? Hold on, let me go ahead and put stuff, tuck it away. Well, maybe that's not a great idea. Hold on a minute. All right, so, so my first time, I had a real bad experience, so I went back a second time, but it was many, many, many years later, and it was actually in Missouri instead of Louisiana. But the first time, I passed class and everything, but my instructor was determined to be intimate with me, even though he was married with a baby at home, and he attempted to fail me because I wouldn't sleep with him. And then he realized he couldn't really do that because I passed my class. He was such a horse's ass. You will find, not all, you will find that paramedics have a tendency, they are usually teaching the EMT class, they have a tendency to be quite arrogant, and they think that they are God. Not all paramedics, so chill if you're not like this. You're a medic and you don't act like this. Good for you. But a lot of them do. Just like a lot of doctors act like they're God too. So everybody's got this God complex, and it's like really weird because when you're training alongside of them, they have no patience for you because they're licensed and you're not yet. So they act like training you, or, you being along for the ride is just a big, massive headache to them because their ego gets the better of them, and they forget that before they went to school, they were kind of clueless too. They conveniently forget that part. When your ego is huge, you do forget things like that. In addition to where I went to school, it was in a place called Warrensburg, Missouri. Warren, like the guy's name with an S, Warrensburg, Missouri. They are the most racist. It's a very racist town, very unaccepting of people with brown skin. Yes, in 2016, which is when I was going, they still act like that. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Missouri, but there are people that don't act like that. But when you go into a small town ambulance service, you're dealing with people who have no tolerance for non-white. I don't know if that was him or a deer. Interesting. Anyway, so my hair is going to be blowing everywhere because I'm outside and don't have a hat on because I'm a genius. Anyway, it was a 6-month course. It was kind of an accelerated course in the sense that, there's chapters we didn't get to cover because we were too busy covering whatever we could in that allotted time space. So I think I went in January and I finished in January, February, March, April. It's a 5-month course. I completed in May. And every class that you go to is preparing you for state exams. Okay? Every class that you go to is preparing you for state exams. It is also preparing you for clinicals. Your clinical exams as well. While you're in class, you are also required to do so many allotted hours for your clinical time, which means you are going to be on the ambulance for so many hours, and you're going to have your in the field training. So it's pretty intimidating because every time we had, like, we do so many chapters, and then we would have the big exam to cover those chapters, a written exam and a clinical exam. And it's just, they're real tests, but they're, like I said, they're preparing you for state. Okay, and so every time you go to class, the class is more and more empty because of students that did not pass. That's not intimidating. Just a little bit. And the first time around, I didn't bother going to state because, like I said, I had an issue with my instructor, and so I pretty much didn't go to take my state exams. I was like, screw it, I'm done. It left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm done. And that was like a long time ago. And so I went back in 2016. I went back and I started from scratch. And too much time had passed to take a refresher course, so I just took the course again. I'm trying to watch him and see what he's doing. He's a goofball. Anyway, so class the next time around wasn't a lot easier. My instructor was... Oh, okay. No. I'm sorry. No. Let me backtrack. I apologize. Let me backtrack. The first time when I was in class, one of them was trying to bang me. I'm just going to keep it real with you, and there's no point in complaining to him. I'm a newbie. He's got a good reputation with them. They're probably not going to believe anything I say, and I just erase myself out of the situation altogether. There's no point in making a big fuss. You know, they're probably going to think, well, he's had a reputation with us for how many years, and you probably had a crush on him and he wouldn't say yes, and so you try to ruin him or whatever. It's my word against his, basically. And I just decided to get out of the whole situation and not bother with it. And then during that time when I was in Louisiana, I wonder if the lighting is better this way. It is. So when I was in Louisiana, one of the instructors, who was God, aka God, whatever, he's a medic. Like I said, medics, well, EMTs can teach the course also, but the ones I had were medics. And one of them was so arrogant and such a horse's ass to the women in class. I don't know what his theory was. I don't know if he thinks that makes us tougher. It just made me pissed. We were each other's patient, just like in nursing school, you do blood draws on each other and that kind of thing, because you don't have real patients, right? So we are each other's trauma patient. And so you have to ask him how your patient is doing, because the patient that's laying on the floor in front of you is your classmate. So obviously they're not a trauma patient, right? Common sense, right? So you have to ask him, okay, I'm checking my airway, breathing, circulation, deficit, everything. And there were times he did this to the women. You ask him, well, how are my patient's respirations? And he would just look at you like this. And not say anything. He did that a lot to the women, not the men. And I remember one day he made me so mad. Don't confuse the tears with sadness. I wanted to whoop his ass. I went in the bathroom and I just bawled. I was furious, and I bawled. And my classmate came in there, because he was just such a peckerhead. Anyway, she came in the bathroom and she said, "Did you notice he does that to all the women in class?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "This is what I do. When I ask him how my patient's doing, and he gives me that stupid stare, I just continue with the assessment." And so I started doing that too. So I had my patient assessment, and I said, how's my patient's respirations? And he did that stupid stare. And I said, well, anyway, I'm giving my patient oxygen 15 liters by mask. And is there any injuries to the mouth, the neck, whatever. You do the whole, like I said, the whole patient assessment. Regardless of the condition of the body, you have to check airway, because if they're not breathing, it really doesn't matter what's going on with their body. They have to breathe. I don't know why he took off by himself. He thinks he's too big for his britches. Anyway, whatever. He'll come back. I'm the ride home, so he'll come back. So he couldn't understand why we were having so much trouble with patient assessment. I don't know why y'all having so much problems with this. Just go by the alphabet: airway, breathing, circulation. I don't know why you're having such a problem with it. Well, it would help if he wasn't a horse's ass. That would help. But whatever. And then, like I said, have the issue with the other one who was arrogant. And he had the nerve to say, the one who was trying to get with me, so unprofessional. I started getting pissy with him in class because I didn't like his attitude. And he said, it seems like, Miss So-and-so, me, has an attitude. And I said, Miss So-and-so doesn't have an attitude unless you have an attitude with her. Oh, shit. A deer just ran across. Milo, no. A deer went running across the road. Do you remember I said, I wonder if that's a deer? That was a deer. They huff at you when they get mad or they get startled. They huff. I thought that was Milo coughing. It was the deer huffing because he was... Milo! Sorry, guys. Get back here now! Good Lord, help me. Oh my God. Oh my God. So anyway, hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, it was a deer that huffed. It goes, I don't know if I can imitate it. It's like, they go like that. Good boy, thank you. Get your butt back here. They huff when they get irritated or startled. And I heard that sound, and I was looking at Milo to see if he was coughing. It wasn't Milo, it was the deer. And then I seen a white flash of a tail when it went across the road, and I was like, oh my God. Anyway, okay, back to me. No, I'm just kidding. But so it was just a cluster. Okay, so I went again in 2016, January through May, January, February, March, April, May, and the instructor was better. He didn't stare you down like an idiot when you ask him how his patient's doing. You kind of have to give us that vital information. I don't know. It's just one of those things. And I actually, it was hard on my body. It was, the stress is very high. You've got so much thrown at you that you have to remember. I think I remember telling you guys there's a workbook that went with our book, and we had already done 20-something chapters, and I never did any of the assignment in the book. So we had Monday and Wednesdays we had class, and the instructor goes, okay, so Wednesday I'm going to collect your workbooks. And I was like, I felt the blood drain from my face. And one of my classmates goes, didn't you fill it out? I said, no. They're like, nonverbals, it sucks to be you. So here we were 20-something chapters in, and I didn't bother doing any of it in my book. I ended up doing it that night, all 20-plus chapters until like 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah. So one of my friends gave me grief afterwards and said, when your instructor gives you a workbook, you're supposed to fill it out. Thanks for telling me after the fact. Anyway, so yeah, the instructor was way better. I did complete everything. I did make it to state. I made a mistake when I was doing well, for me, some of my classmates did clinicals first, and then they did the written. With my case, I ended up doing the written first, and then a week or two later, I did clinicals or something. I can't remember, something like that. And I made a mistake with hair traction. I did not want hair traction. Hair traction's when it's a traction device, portable traction device that we put on your leg if you break it out in the field, and it has straps on it, and there's a certain way that you have to do it, and you cannot deviate from that way when you are pulling traction. They're going to scream and yell initially, and then they're going to feel a lot better in seconds, because it basically takes your bone and takes it from broken to straight. Like, let's pretend this is straight and this is broken, because I obviously have one hand. We pull that bone, we align it with the traction. So they're going to scream and yell initially, and then they're going to be like, oh God, that feels better. It's still going to hurt like hell because it's broken, but it'll feel better until they take it off at the hospital to do x-rays. So that kind of sucks, but sucks for the patient anyway. And then not long after I started my career, the stress of everything took its toll on my body. And my fibro flared up crazy. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I almost quit before I started school. I almost quit. But where are you going? I almost quit before I started because I was in so much pain. And then I fractured 2 ribs, and oh God, it was just a nightmare. But I managed to complete everything. When I was doing my state exam, my clinical exam, I did not want to get hair traction because that was just a pain, but that's exactly what I got, in addition to something else that I don't remember what it was. Make sure that you say, I forget. One of them is seen safe, and I forget what the other term is, but if you don't say those 2 words before you start your clinical exam, you failed. Okay? Seen safe. Oh, I can't remember. God, that was a long time ago. But there's 2 things you have to say when you enter a scene, even though you're acting out, responding to a scene, whatever. Scene safe is one of them. You have to say scene safe, and I forget what the other one is. But basically, you don't go into a scene unless it's been secured by police. All right? So you can't just barge up into the scene and then get blasted with a gun or whatever because you didn't bother, or a assailant has a knife and they come at you. You cannot just barge up in there. Hey, put that knife down. I'm going to make sure this person's okay. It doesn't work like that. If the scene's not secure and it's not safe, then you have to verbalize that. Otherwise, that's a big problem. You'll fail that particular station. So I made a mistake on hair traction, but I corrected myself and I said I would not do that in the field. I would do this instead. And that was my saving grace. That was my saving grace. And I completed everything. When I did the written exam, I kept checking my score online, and then I was driving myself absolutely crazy. And I decided I am not going to check it every day because I'm just making myself nuts. And so I stopped checking, and I had a dream while I was waiting on the results of my exam. I got to put my gloves on. Oh my God. I'm sorry, guys. I have to put you down. And I dropped it on the ground. That's cool. It's awesome. Okay, sorry, my paws were chilly. So, I quit checking every day, and while I was waiting for the results of my written exam, I had a dream. And I felt like it was a dream that God granted me to tell me that everything is going to be okay. So in the dream, I was up, this didn't happen, it's a dream, right? I was up on this bridge, and let's see here, can I do that way? Yeah. I was up on a bridge, and I fell off the bridge, but I don't think there was water at the bottom. I think it was the ground. And when I fell off the bridge, instead of getting hurt when I made contact with the ground in the dream, I kind of did this and I floated to the ground and I wasn't injured. And I felt comforted with that. It felt like God was telling me, you're going to have a soft landing. You're going to be just fine. And this messed my mind up. I was in church that one of the Sundays that I was waiting for my results. And I didn't tell anybody that I took my exam or anything like that. I didn't tell anybody. Okay? One of the ladies walked by me and she said, "You're going to be okay." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I don't know what the time frame was after that, like a week or a week and a half later, I found out I passed. And then I took my written exam or my clinical exam and everything went well. And in Missouri, I don't know about other places, but in Missouri, you can submit your paperwork from class. You have to pay for it. You got to pay for your license or submit a fee for the processing of the paperwork or whatever. I don't know how, regardless what it is. You got to pay a fee. Anyway, and then if you submit your papers to Jeff City, which is our capital, you will get your license eventually. If you want it in a timely manner, you take your paperwork to the capital, or not the capital, excuse me. That's where our capital is. Missouri's capital is Jeff City. But you take it to whatever the building is. They tell you, they give you the address, and you hand your paperwork to them, and you will get your license in a timely manner because they will process it right away since you physically handed it to them. So that's what I did. And then not long after that, I found out I had fibro. And I wasn't able to work anymore. The stress of class hurt my body pretty good. And I was really depressed about it because I had busted my behind to get where I was. And then my body said, "We're done." I'm like, "No, we're not done." So I worked in a doctor's office instead as a medical assistant, and that didn't work either. You're running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and my body was just done with me at that point. I didn't know I had fibro, but I eventually got diagnosed because I documented all of my symptoms as they occurred, and I rated them on a 10 scale, which is what you need to do to let them know, and I described the pain: burning, aching, throbbing, whatever the pain was doing, and wherever the pain was, because the pain goes all over different parts of your body. It's not the same part every time. And found out I had fibro. And I do believe I've had it since I was a teenager, and I went into remission. That's what I believe. And it flared up. I've had an abusive, violent childhood, and that took a toll on my body. It took a toll on my mental health. It took a toll on my physical well-being. And you're not supposed to be beaten viciously with a belt, knocked downstairs, pushed into walls, getting your arm yanked so hard that it almost disconnects from its socket. These are things your body's not supposed to face. And I'm not telling you that for you to feel bad for me. I'm a survivor. I'm here. Shit. Okay? Trust, I'm still kicking. The oppressors did not oppress too long. Eventually, I'm going to be grown, and that shit's going to stop. Anyway, but it took a massive toll on my body, and then the stress from, school and everything, because it's highly stressful. this is your career. If you mess up, your career is down the tube. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a lot of pressure. And the fiber was just doing its thing, and that was that. And then, like I said, I worked for a doctor's office, and I lasted like 2 days, and the pain was so bad. I wanted to cry, but the pain wouldn't come. Yeah. So I don't regret it. I learned a lot. I have assisted on, I used to volunteer at a hospital, a military hospital back then, and I also worked in OB. I helped deliver babies, and it was so much fun. I was a labor coach, and I helped the babies and helped the moms and give the babies, the newborns, their first bath, and help moms through labor, and it was a lot of fun. And instead of going back to school for EMT, and I'm going backwards a little bit, I was going to go for midwifery, which would never have worked. But if I didn't have so much animosity with my coworkers and classmates, I would have done extremely well with that, I do believe. It's a double-edged sword. Like, I don't blossom to my full potential. I gotta go. I don't blossom to my full potential when I'm working with a bunch of assholes. That's just the way it is. I'm on guard. My wall's up. I'm not receptive to learning and being trained in the field because I'm facing animosity all the time. I don't flourish in a situation like that. But at the same time, when I was in school and they hated me because they hate brown skin, it makes them want to vomit. Their hatred of me was the propellant that forced me forward and made me more determined than I've ever been in my life, and I received my license regardless of them. In your face, rednecks. Anyway, I gotta go. You guys take care. Much love. And that was my experience with the EMT school. Y'all take care. Bye.